There's some kid right now who's learning how to play soccer. They're going to be playing in Etihad Park.
21st District in Queens, Councilman Francisco Moya will be joining us in just a little bit. And if you don't know, obviously for our listeners and viewers that
outside of New
York, this man was instrumental in getting Etihad Park, which is the new stadium for New York City FC. That is going to be
in his district,
and is going to be opening in 2027. And yeah, so obviously,
this man is a massive soccer fan. It's a beautiful thing.
I thought I love this sport. I'm like, I feel like
you and I've never even heard of this sport compared to how much this man loves it.
The man is a dedicated, obviously NYCFC fan, but also Barcelona. The man bleeds Blaugrana. So we're going to talk to him about not only the stadium, but his Barcelona fandom and everything going on. Also, everything going on with politics, how to navigate this Trump administration.
Yeah, me and you are getting into politics after this.
Exactly. It's the natural pivot for the Cooligans.
You know what? From comedian to finding ways to make laws.
Okay. I know everybody wants that.
Quick, what's the law you'd pass? Quick.
Law I'd pass. I mean, it would healthcare for everybody. That's it. Universal
healthcare.
Wow. That's it.
Wow. So you went helpful. Now I'm gonna look like the asshole.
What do you have in mind?
Tax abatements for restaurants. I was gonna do that.
Okay, really? So it's a much more ingrained, much more specific and a more granular law and focus.
But now think about all the restaurants that will be trying to impress me. Right? That's all I'm saying. My life suddenly changes for the better, and it's not to say that your life also doesn't change.
Okay.
You get access to those restaurants after the fact.
Exactly. Obviously, people are going to be tailing Alexis wherever he is.
All my favorite restaurants will survive. so that just goes to show. But yeah, I guess everyone having healthcare. Wow.
Hey, look. I mean, you clearly see if we had, if we were running, an election and our political platforms, you could see the difference between Alexis and I. And you can choose who to vote for, whatever. Choose it.
Okay. Well, here's what the people don't know. I also will do healthcare for them, but I really want to get through this whole restaurants I like. I
mean, the priorities. Yeah. I mean, we'll start.
Let me work on the restaurants I like thing first.
So yes, let's chat with Councilman Moya about all these things. But no, seriously, it was we mentioned it to him as well, but this is like really one of the coolest things cool. That not only do we get to this part of our Cooligans history and lore, but the fact that he's like, hey, I'm a fan of the show, and why didn't you ask me sooner?
Yeah,
I didn't know I could.
Yeah. I didn't know we were allowed to talk to you.
So seriously, a really, really cool opportunity for us, and a really shout out to Councilman Moya and his staff for coming through. It's really, really cool. So let's get right to it. Here's our conversation with Councilman Francisco Moya.
Every once in a while on this podcast, we impress ourselves with the guests that we bring in.
We're shocked. When they walk into the room, I was like, I can't believe they responded to the email.
Yeah.
And then when they're actually here, we're like, okay.
Right. Your spam filters are not strong enough if our email got through.
But no, it is an absolute honor and definitely something, and we'll get all into it. But New York City FC is an important club to our founding, right? Because
we started in the stands.
Exactly, because the Cooligans would not exist if it were not for this club. Obviously, when NYCFC started, Alexis and I were doing stand-up comedy in the city. We're trying to figure out what direction we're going in. Our lives kind of make no sense. We're just performing at laundromats.
And Chinese food restaurants with families being like, can you let me eat my mushu pork dog?
And then this club came about, and then we started doing a soccer podcast. And
one of the biggest highlights for our careers as we move up, the club's about to get their own stadium.
Exactly. And with this has been a thing when we first got season tickets for NYCFC. One of the things you even told me, you're like, yo, let's get season tickets because they're gonna put a brick with your name on it on the new stadium.
We got to get this damn brick.
And obviously the stadium's coming in like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So
brick is on its way, man.
Brick is on its way.
And that is thanks to this man.
That's right, because we're getting political today.
It takes a whole community, a whole society.
Exactly.
And you need some people who know who your Rolodex and your contacts got some important people. You know whose hands to shake. And we have one of those folks in studio right now.
Exactly. I've always wanted to do this because one of my favorite late night hosts is obviously Stephen Colbert. Yes. But when we did the Colbert Report, and whenever he would have like local politicians from a particular district, he would say, hey, from District 21. And he'll be like, the fighting 21st. City Councilman for Queens. Just an honor to have him here. Everybody, give it up for Councilman Francisco Moya. What's up, man?
Thank you, guys. What an honor to be here, man. I'm a big fan of you guys. Love the podcast. Love what you guys are doing. To me, this is one of the highlights of my career to be with you guys here today.
This is crazy.
This is
the political spin is already
started. It started.
They say to not trust politicians, and this man is making an example.
I'm willing to donate to the campaign. I don't even think there is a campaign. Christian, can I borrow a couple $1,000? Talk about your passion for football.
Yeah.
And how suddenly this just completely fell on your lap. Because I think early on the conversation was trying to get the team somewhere in Manhattan. I think early doors was like Flushing Meadow Park. But suddenly your district became the focal point of the biggest football club in all of New York City.
Well, look, I'm born and raised in Corona, Queens, to immigrants, parents from Ecuador. You're born with a soccer ball in your crib. Yeah. It's a passion in
Barcelona
the household.
or Emelec?
Oh, no, not even. It's La Liga.
Liga.
We're from Quito, who just won too. So it's, in the district, it's hard, man. I gotta zip up my jacket, when I'm walking when I'm walking by certain parts of the neighborhood, But look, to me, soccer's always been a passion of mine. It's been a love. Flushing Meadows Corona Park is where my dad took me to learn how to play soccer. Learning how to play soccer in the shadows of Shea Stadium. As a kid, you dream, oh man, I'm gonna play for Barcelona one day, or whatever team it is. My mind says, I'm that good, but my body says, hey, it ain't happening, right?
Too,
and the talent, right? You gotta have the talent too. But when I first got elected in 2010. It's a funny story because I got elected to the New York State Assembly. And my first official act as an elected official was to write a letter to Commissioner Don Garber. And I said to the commissioner, I said, look, I have a perfect location where I think a soccer stadium can be built. And I knew that the expansion lottery was happening in 2013. And I said, New York doesn't have its own team. Because the Red Bulls are New Jersey, and 30 years they still can't lift the cup. But I'm just saying.
The roast is over, but it continues.
I'm just saying. So I don't hear from the guy, at all. 6 months later, Megan, my chief of staff, she says, hey, you got an invitation to come and have lunch with Commissioner Don Garber. I'm like, whoa,
okay.
Yeah. So we go to Midtown to his headquarters, and he apologized. He's like, look, I'm really sorry it took so long. He's like, we had no idea who you were. Because at the time, it was literally, I just got in. So my name wasn't even on my letterhead. If you went to the website, it was just my picture. And the district, nothing on it.
Just a MySpace profile.
Exactly.
Yo, Don, you're my top 8.
Why? Bro, I put you on my close friends list on Instagram
and nothing, right? And 6 months later, right? Yes. Jeez. So, we got in there and the Jets wanted to come at one point to Queens. Bloomberg at the time was thinking of building the Olympic Village in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park.
Right. Oh my God.
And so I knew that location right there was just primed to have a soccer stadium there. And then you fast forward to 2013, NYCFC gets announced, great, very excited, all those things. And then, I always say this, I'm like, then they left me because they were going to do something there. And then they went to the Bronx.
That's right.
And, I was like, okay, I'm building this stadium with you guys or without you guys. One way or the other, we're getting it done. And a dear friend of mine, the former Bronx Borough president, Ruben Diaz Jr., makes a bet with me. He's like, I got you. It's like he's all baseball and all that. And he's like, I'm going to get your soccer stadium here. I got your soccer team in my borough. I'm like, you watch. And so we made a bet. It was a plate of empanadas. And I will say he did cough it up.
Nice.
So he did come through. And then, after that, I just kept going and going and going. And then I really, put some things together that was not just going to be a soccer stadium. I said, look, we have an ability to do something really special here. Something that hasn't been done in New York or across the country, where we can build an entire new neighborhood here. That surrounds the soccer stadium, right?
Because for people who don't know, we're talking about the Willits Point area. I once bought a a Volkswagen Golf in Willets Point. And I quickly found out that there was a lot of damage covered up by paint, which is probably the most Willets
or the
Point.
VIN number.
Or
the VIN
Let's
number.
just say the engine didn't belong to the car originally. But whatever, it lasted. It went well for the time it lasted. It was a very cheap buy. But Willets Point was like it was like very like minimally industrial. And it's one of those things of like, every once in a while, you watch an old New York film, and like a white van will pull over, and you're like, bro, none of that exists. It's all glass and steel. This is one of the few areas where that still existed, where you could see redevelopment was able, especially with the extreme need in the city for housing.
Yeah. Oh, to me, it was like the perfect location, right? Because what I wanted to do was not make the same mistakes that others made when they brought in sports franchises. Look at Barclays, right? Atlantic Yards. 12 years, 13 years later, they still haven't done anything to build the housing or the community benefits that's there. Yeah. So I knew that what I needed to do was make sure that I can get the right partners to come in here and do a couple of things that was going to help this be something really different, really historic. When the Bronx was falling apart and I had another team coming in, and that'll be for another podcast.
Okay,
just so you know,
all right.
We were ready to go, and the mayor and everything. We just had everything.
But this is good. I mean, this is leverage. I mean, you're doing.
Oh, I mean, I was just going anyway, right? Like as much as I love
mine,
as much as I love NYCFC, I was gonna go. Like this is like for me, it's my neighborhood. It's where I grew up. Of course. Legacy project. Been working on this for 12 years, and I got the call. They're like, "Can we meet?" They came to Corona. Marty Edelman.
You're just eating a plate of empanadas, like ready to go.
It was like, it was like we had breakfast, shook hands, and that's where the ball started to get rolling. And it's when you have the right partners that you can make something this special at this level really happen, right? So when you tell them, I want you to build it with private funds so that the city doesn't have to pay for it, right? Because every single sports franchise that comes in here is with taxpayer dollars, right? They're like, no problem. I said, this city was built on the backs of union workers. I want the stadium to be built 100% union. They're like, no problem. And then that gave me the leverage to go back to the city and say, we need to build a housing here that's 100% affordable housing. So that gave me the opportunity to bring 2,500 units of affordable housing, a brand new school. It's
hit the wrong button on that one.
I love it. No. More air horn. So, that started to come alive. I wanted to demonstrate that to everyone that always says, when you bring these sports franchises, they never really commit. That's why if you go to Willets Point right now, you're going to see the housing that's going to be finished, I think, in the spring, like in a month or two. And then we're going to start the lottery for people to come in for the first phase of this, the first 1,100 units. We broke ground in December for the soccer stadium itself and the other portion of housing in the school that's going to be built there. So it was a long journey. And I always say, like, I'm going to write the book that no one will read. Yeah. Because the behind the scenes to get this done, especially in a city like New York, of course, it's so challenging to do anything. Bringing all these complex players to agree to everything is pretty difficult, but getting it done is the most gratifying thing.
That's kind of.
And I want to get to the point when it was finally like completed and the project was going to move forward. But out of curiosity, was there a point where you were like, "Holy shit, I don't think this is going to happen"?
Or how many times did that?
Yeah.
Look, Megan, my chief of staff, she acted like my therapist because we'd be on the phone like trying to figure things out. Look, I never stopped believing that I was going to bring a soccer stadium to Queens. There was just no doubt in my mind. I knew that I had the right ingredients to make this work. The difficulty sometimes is different administrations, bureaucracy, that you have to get personalities, egos, all of that. How do you sit at a table with that level? I'm a kid from freaking Corona, Queens, sitting down with, billionaires here saying, no, you got to do this, right? When they're accustomed to hearing yes all the time. Mm-hmm. But it was great because they understood. They understood the significance of this project. They understood what it meant to that neighborhood and what it means to New York City in its history. First time in 4 decades that New York City is getting a brand new neighborhood. And it's happening in the area that I grew up in. Well, born and raised there. And to have that legacy there, to me, that's it. I can walk away from all of this and say, look, I've done something really great. I bought the house I grew up in. I'm not moving.
Yeah.
So to me, that's going to be a great thing for generations to come.
That's beautiful.
So cool. You know, every once in a while we travel as comedians. I'll go to some place that has like a lot of open space, and I'm like, you guys should put a couple buildings up in here.
Yeah.
You actually did that in your own in your own neighborhood. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. Look, it's so gratifying to see that because there was so many stops and starts to this. You're talking about if you look at the history of Willard's Point. Everybody knows it's written in The Great Gatsby and you know the Valley of Ashes. But it was 3 administrations that couldn't get this done. Yeah. And they were going to build a mall, right? And I'm like, retail is not gonna cut it here, right? Like, you're going to have 14,000 union jobs. You're going to have 1,500 permanent jobs there. You know, it's not just 2,500 units of affordable housing. It's 2,500 families that are going to have a roof over their head. It's 14,000 workers that are going to be able to pay the rent, put food on the table, and really make the economic engine of that neighborhood really thrive in, you know, the next 10 to 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the coolest things, I mean, I was watching, I remember watching the live video when the stadium was announced and you know, everybody's there. But then the video when, I don't know what it was. It was like I don't know if it was like a legislature or like when everybody's basically, when you're announcing and everybody is like, hey, I just want to give credit to Councilman Moya. He's worked hard at this and it's just like, it's like 7 people over and over. They keep going. They're like, I just want to give credit to Councilman Moya. And I'm like, from the first 2, I'm like, man, this is clearly a project that he's been working on for such a long time. And everybody wants to give him his flowers. But by the 8th one, I was like, why are we glazing this man?
Damn, dog.
Relentless. Like, I get
1 through 7 said it already.
Right. Yeah. Like, all right, a little handshake, a round of applause. But that moment must have felt really good to not just get it completed, but then just to have your peers being like, because I'm sure those people in the room, I'm sure a lot of them were supportive at first, and you had to convince a lot of people. So it must have felt really good, just on a personal level and a professional level, to just be like, "Hey, I got it done, and we're finally moving forward." And everybody is kind of just finally the world is seeing it and giving you that acknowledgement.
Look, I've been in politics, you know, practically my entire life, and I've won races, I've lost races, and I've never cried. You know, I've cried at Barcelona games. I'll cry at soccer games. I won't cry at like anything. I mean, but
yeah, no, we're broken dudes too.
Yeah. Seriously, right? Like, but I got choked up. You know, just reading the speech because it's like you go back. I'm going back to 2010 while I'm reading the speech. You know, in April of 2024, right? And all of a sudden, you're like, wow, this is really happening. You know, and I just could hear my voice. You know, when you start like, it's like, you know, it's not coming out. I'm like, oh man, I got to take a deep breath. You know, and you know, I mentioned my dad, my family, because they were all part of this. I lost my dad like right before that, so you know, it was like kind of like this big triumphant moment, right? It's like to me, it was the greatest moment as an elected official to see that happen. Like my dream just came true.
Sure,
you know, and I got to see it happen.
Well, to see a project go through, like, you know, we're in entertainment. We've had meetings before, and Jerry Seinfeld's the first to say this. I'm not the first to say this, but the meeting is the fun part because we all know it feels great, and then we're not going to do any of the things we said we do when we leave. None of us are ever going to talk again, but at that moment, it feels good. Yeah. You actually found a way to see it through. Yeah. And when you look at the community that's going to be built there, and you look at the community that exists there, what is it that you're probably looking forward to the most? Obviously, the housing is a big part of it, but having the focus be on this area of Queens where it still feels like a if you know kind of a neighborhood, which I think a lot of us hold on to. A lot of us gatekeep. I know I do. There. What are you looking forward to now that the masses are going to be heading to this neighborhood in a lot more ways? Yeah,
well, look, you know, I think that it's going to bring the right attention to the community, right? It's going to really build that economic engine that we have. Because, look, if you look at what's in that area, you have the USTA, you have Citi Field. But people come in and then they go out. Like they don't spend time in the district. They're not like you. They don't go to, you know, the local restaurants. Right. And, you know, yes, we hide the ones that we don't want like people to like.
You'll never know.
Exactly. Exactly.
I almost didn't tell him.
Yeah. I mean, you know? Mind you, that restaurant's like 2 blocks away from my house. So like, but
keeping it in my pocket.
Yeah. But you know, to me, what this is about is that it's really building a community that surrounds that the people are going to be living there. They're going to be working there. It's going to be a new concept too, that the stadium is going to be open year round for the community.
Mhm.
So for groups, for graduations, for anyone that wants to like have an actual like place to meet, they're going to be able to utilize a portion of that stadium.
That's cool.
I think that when you have that and you have all those things together, it really makes for a formula to be a real destination, right? So that people aren't just like driving in and then driving back out, right? And that to me is the key thing. But it's also like what I look at is I remember being that kid, you know, playing in Flushing Meadows Corona Park. And back then, Corona was all Italian. So they weren't really playing. They weren't the Italians that go follow calcio. They were like, you know, it's very different. It's like New York Italians, right?
Yeah.
So
Their XG was a little different. They were focusing on unexpected.
and you know, I just think about it now. This opportunity that's going to happen here is that there's some kid right now who's learning how to play soccer in the same field that I learned how to play soccer, that maybe one day wearing the jersey for, you know, their hometown club. They're going to be playing in Etihad Park. And one of the biggest things that I had them do, because we have a big community benefits package, it's about $28 million just going straight into the community. And part of that is that we're going to have free soccer clinics in all of our schools that surround the area, because, you know, you guys know this very well. In the United States, what is it? That we have anybody that wants to play in a real academy has to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, right? It's only here in America that happens. And we have all these kids from South and Central America. They go to school, they're wearing like their national team jerseys, or they're wearing, you know, their club jerseys. Like, why can't we give them that opportunity to have like real professionals come in, teach them the beautiful game, give them that opportunity, keep them off the streets, right? Because now I got 2 Saturday Night Live programs that are just dedicated for soccer. It's like the first in the city, in my neighborhood, getting at-risk youth into like safe places to play the game. I want to see this generation that's coming up not only be able to live there, but to enjoy the benefits that this project is going to bring to that neighborhood and to the city of New York.
That's crazy.
It's great to see.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, we've done you know, work with NYCFC and the youth programs and stuff like that. And you know, whether it's like we did like a career day type of thing where during COVID, when they were interviewing us, like the kids were interviewing us,
like journalism school,
like a journal, and about like getting into media and stuff like that. And then like maybe this was probably about 5 years ago, and then I'm at a game and one of the kids 5 years later, he's like in college,
adult.
And he comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, you were in the thing." I'm like, "I'm going to NYU now, whatever."
Oh,
I'm like,
that's great.
I'm gonna cry, bro.
Well, give me a high.
You know, one thing I want to talk about, especially since you're talking about the community and in Queens. You know, I was raised in Brooklyn, but I was born in Queens at Elmhurst Hospital. We just realized
you and me,
we were born our you know, beds were next to each other, I think. And
we were switched at birth, ladies and gentlemen.
The same midwife.
Yes.
Breasts.
We're not that old. Like, what are you talking about?
But one of the things that, especially now, and I've seen you talk about it and post about it, but obviously ICE and what's going on in this country, and after you know, the January 20th and the new administration. But this is something that it's personal to me. You know, we're all children of immigrants. My parents from Dominican Republic. My mom does not speak English normally. I mean, she's an American citizen, but she does not speak English. So it's a thing where I'm worried she might be, you know, traveling to my like brother's house in New Jersey and might be getting stopped, and maybe she'd be in a terrible situation or something like that. And I know that you've been letting people know at least that they do have some rights and they do have things that they can do. So I just want to ask you, and we can share that information on the show about like what people can do if they ever put in that situation. Yeah.
Look, the great thing is that we're in New York City, which is a sanctuary city, which gives immigrants the right to not have to open the door when ICE comes in knocking. You have to have a judicial warrant, right? And most people don't know that. So what we have to do is we have to go out and educate folks. Like, what are those rights? And that's what we've been doing, right? We've learned, this is Trump 2.0, right?
Yeah.
For his previous term, what did he do? It was separating the children, right?
Right.
And I'll tell you a story about that because that really broke my heart, right? Like, I could never imagine, like our parents that immigrated here, right? Like at 18, like I don't think I could have left, United States and go to another country on my own. And like,
No chance.
there's just like, it's a different mindset, right? And so imagine you're a 10-year-old kid, you're separated from your mom and your dad, and you're by yourself in some foster care, like in a country and in a city you don't know. I found out that New York City was housing about 300 of the migrant children.
Yeah.
And I said, look, they're all from South and Central America. What's the one common language that we all speak? It's football, right?
Yeah.
So I got together with a non-for-profit called Hispanic Federation. David Villa, great friend. He was here at the time. He has an academy, DV7. Yeah. We partnered up, and I said, look, we're gonna take these kids, and I'm gonna fund this program. And 2 days out of the week, we're going to bus them to Queens because they were in a location in Manhattan. And they're going to get jerseys, everything. We're going to teach them how to play the game, get them into this like different environment, teach them about teamwork, all these things like that, because we needed to do something at that point, right? And that's kind of like soccer's always the uniter that I always say. And then now we're fast forwarding here and like they're still looking at going after sending ice into the schools, all that. So we're educating our folks. It's kind of different because you can't have a town hall, right? Because you can't bring folks there because if you do, they could be waiting right outside. So we're doing things virtual, right? We're putting up information on our social media. I'm going on the news and telling them what their rights are. Call our office. You want to know what that is? We have it in your language, right? So that you can understand this. And that's the main thing is that education is key. If they're well informed, then they know what to do. And we have a responsibility too to protect those that are the most vulnerable, right? That are keeping this economy alive. Look, New York City is raised by immigrants, right? It's like so is this country.
Literally wouldn't exist if it wasn't for immigrants.
And don't get me wrong. Like, look, if you're a hardened criminal and you're committing a big, you deserve to go to jail. But we're not talking about that, right? We're talking about innocent people who because of the circumstances that they're in, come to this country, right?
My mom just makes mango for people. She doesn't bother anybody.
My mom's like you. My mom's like you. She
How am I not getting any of this mango? Hold on a second. What are we talking about here?
Maybe that's the crime.
There it is, man.
You know what? I'm going to make a couple phone calls.
Yeah.
It's more of a mango-based situation.
We're going to take your mom to the White House, right? We're going to bring that mango, man, and be like, yo.
Just put it in a McDonald's wrapper. He'll eat it.
I think the stuff that the biggest part of it, it's just so gross.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, obviously it's
but also in this district, I mean, one of my favorite things is when it starts to get a little warm, I go right to the now badly named Lemon Ice King of Corona.
Yeah.
We need to change get the ice fruit out of there.
Listen, it's a classic. My office is right down the block. You got to stop by.
Well, see, here's what I started doing. I've started looking for parking. Terrible to park there. Maybe you give me one of those. I can park wherever I want. But as you drive around, I start realizing, wait a minute, there's a lot of like old Spanish ladies from different countries selling food in front of their homes, like in these tents. And like, I'm like, bro, instead of eating food and then coming here, why don't we come here, eat food, and then go? Like we get some, and I had some of the best tacos, some of the best quesadillas, some of the best like tlayudas. I mean, it's so your food that's being presented to you. So when I think of immigrants being dragged out of their homes and this and that, I immediately think of your district because there's so many people that are just hardworking families just trying to make it in America, make it in New York, which is what we're all doing. Right. Everyone asks us when we travel the country, how do you pay your rent? It's so expensive. It's like, bro, everyone has like a job and a side hustle. So you got to do something else.
Right.
We're all making ends meet. And to see the disgusting display, it's to me very unpatriotic, very un-American. So the fact that you're helping people means to the world to us, which is why we wanted to bring it up.
Oh, look, I appreciate that. Look, we have a long road ahead. It's 4 years, right? We're seeing what's going to happen. We shouldn't be surprised. He was saying this from day one that this is what he was going to do. And I think that one of the things that we have to do is always protect and defend our neighbors and those that are here to really make a difference and want to be part of the fabric of this great country. This is a nation that's built on immigrants. It's the beacon of hope and freedom for the world. And unfortunately, we have someone in the White House that is changing that perception around. So
I don't know how to make tlayudas, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's you know, and I was watching an interview with like AOC and stuff like that, and it's I'm trying to find those glimmers of like optimism and hope and how to kind of like persevere through what we know is you know, already it's been what 3 weeks or whatever, and it's just
and it feels like it's like 3 years.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Somebody I saw somebody tweet like you know, oh, January was the worst decade of my life.
Right. Like, it's true.
It feels like it.
Yeah,
for sure.
it feels like it. Yeah.
I want to move on and talk a little bit about Barcelona, and because I know this club is deeply important to you. Like, and when you scroll through your Instagram, man, which I know
the pain is real.
I know what posters are on your bedroom wall, bro. But this it's been an interesting year, and I you know I'm putting up the photo of you and Lionel Messi. This is obviously, I believe, at Yankee Stadium. At the game.
Look at this childlike smile on your face.
Well,
even the security guard is happy.
Listen, I'll tell you about this because I've had the fortune of meeting some of the greatest players in Barcelona. I became good friends with Laporta, the president of FC Barcelona. You know, just, and it has nothing to do with me being a councilman. I'm just like a crazy rabid fan, right? And every time I was going to meet him, like Messi was injured or something like that, and we never connected. So the only guy that I never like met, they finally set this meeting up. They're like, you got 5 minutes with this guy. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm like, look, I'm
He's like, I'll cry for 4.5. And then
I was like,
okay. We say goodbye?
Tell your chief of staff, okay, get it in the agenda, cry for 4.5
minutes.
minutes.
It was like, and like no one could be, it's like a whole setup. And I'm like, I've met 3 sitting presidents and I've never been nervous. In my head, I'm rehearsing, what do I say to this guy as he's coming, right? Because I just like, this is like my idol. I don't know what. 5-minute conversation. I have no freaking clue what the hell I said to him, except somebody was recording it when he like signed my jersey. And all I said at the end was, Leo, te quiero mucho. And I just hugged the guy. And I'm like a grown man hugging this guy. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's like I just met God, right? Like he just came down from the heavens. And like, it's just an unbelievable experience. I wish I could remember it. I just have that picture that like says I did meet him, because I think I went blank for 5 minutes.
What is the first thing you said? Because I've always wondered, if I meet him, will I go Señor? Will I go Leo? Will I go Hermano?
I swear to God, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
It's like I blanked out. Like all I know is the recording was I told him I love you at the end and hugged him, right? Like it was just this whole like my outer body experience. Like I'm watching my own self. Like, I don't know what I was saying. Right? And I could have said like the craziest thing in the world. I just don't know. Like, I don't remember. That's how like it's blanked out. But I was so excited. Sure. And I've never been that excited and like that nervous all at once when I see this guy. And he's like the nicest guy in the world. You know, he was coming in and he already like saw me and he was just like with a big smile on his face. And I'm like, don't cry. I'm like, just don't cry. I'm like, just don't cry, because that'll be really bad. That'll be really bad.
Yeah. For your next election, your opponent is going to use it against you.
Right. Well, I don't know. That picture says it all, man. No one's going to run against me with that.
If you are going to cry at any point, do it stand next to Messi.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's a good photo to release.
No, I mean, what was do you have early memories? Was it your late father that got you into the team? Like, what was the initial thing?
We always loved soccer. And back then, you know, there was no cable, right? Like no real cable when I was growing up. If you wanted to watch anything that was from Europe, you would have to be really lucky that Telemundo or Univision would play one of the matches, right? And then this brilliant soccer player comes up, Brazilian, the real Ronaldo, you know, started playing for Barcelona. And I was just like, man, I said, whatever happens from here, I have to go, you know, to see that beautiful cathedral that we call the Camp Nou. And I just fell in love with that team, right? And it was hard to see it. And then he went to Inter, and then I could see him on Rai TV because they had that here. And I was able to see all that. And I would always like love that. And when I first was able to like really like scrounge up enough money, I went to Barcelona. And but that's it. I was just hooked. I mean, you're in a stadium. I was sitting next to these season ticket. There were all these old ladies, you know, that were there, and they were all speaking Catalan. They refused to talk to me in Spanish. Yeah, and now I can speak a little, right? I mean, I can sing every song in Catalan, right? So they're teaching me how to sing the song, and I'm like, I just fell in love with that city, and I have not missed a Clásico since 2007.
Wow.
I was at 2 Champions League finals. I was at Wembley, and I was at Berlin in 2015.
Wow.
And, you know, my vacations revolve around where they play. To me, I think I only missed when it was COVID. And, I missed one. And it's a funny story because David was here, David Villa.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, come to my house, right? And we can watch it together. And I'm like sitting in his living room. And first of all, it's like surreal, right? Because I'm like, I'm just sitting next to Spain's all-time leading goal scorer. I'm like, I saw this guy I was at the game when they beat Madrid 5-0. You know, he scores 2 on them. I'm there when he was when they won the final. You know, it's like I'm sitting there. It's like, you know, somebody says like, you know, you're sitting in Derek Jeter's living room, right?
It's unbelievable.
So they lose. And I'm very superstitious. And I just turned to him and I said, you know, David, I love you to death. I'm like, I just don't think I can watch the game with you ever again.
I'll never be back here again.
And we're good friends. Like we see each other and all that. We still remain very close. And he does a lot of work with the kids in my district.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that when they come here, they call me, right? Like the team comes, you know, they're like, we want to do something. I'm like, shoot, I'll have the Statue of Liberty with the Barcelona flags hanging over it. What do you need? Like, what do you need, right? So
Empire State Building,
we got the whole thing, right? Yeah. And I made friends with them, and like the first time I get invited by the president to sit in the president's box, right? I'm like, whoa, like this big deal. And you can't come like this, right?
Yeah.
You got to be dressed up, suit and tie. And I swear, I'll never do it again. And I told them this. I love them to death. Because it's like being at the opera, right? You can only, and I'm like,
can't really be a fan.
You can't really be a fan. But like when you get there and your name is on the seat, like next to like the president of FC, but like the club you grew up idolizing, like I mean, it was like waterworks, man. And I'm just trying not to look at the guy like, oh no, the sun is hitting my eye.
No, I'm just pulling levers over here.
And you know, like I always say, I got 3 loves in my life. It's my family, my job, and FC Barcelona.
I honestly thought you were not going to say family first.
And not necessarily in that order. I don't think I'm just saying, and not necessarily in that order.
You might have did bullet points, not numbers on that one.
Yeah, not necessarily in that order. But
so let me give you the opportunity then. You are a politician. You know how this works.
Yeah.
Let's say I made you the czar of football in America.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You control all of soccer in the U.S. You get
basically Elon Musk's role.
Yeah. All right, you work for Doge. Yeah. Mysteriously, your name has disappeared off the internet.
Exactly.
You get to make any one major change or one small change, anything. You could say no more red card, whatever you want.
Yeah.
What's one change you would make to the sport in this country? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Man, that's tough. You know, that's a tough one.
You could make just one small change, anything.
Maybe it's people have to stop calling them Barcelona. Maybe
I don't know. That's a tough one for me. Like, I'm not a fan of VAR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm really not a fan of VAR.
I'm a massive fan of VAR. But
and well, I'll tell you why. Because it just hasn't worked in the Spanish league very well. Right? It's always creating this controversy. You bring it here. I don't know. We have a different system here that I don't know if it works that well. I'm not a big fan of the referees announcing like it's NFL.
Right.
You guys may be a fan of that.
I'm a big fan of both things you hate so far.
I'm sorry, man. It's just like those are the, you know, I think of that like, and what I would definitely want to change. Maybe this is what I'd love to change that the seasons match up with the rest of, you know,
which feels like we're closer to that than
feels like we're getting
further away. I mean,
because it's just like we'll never be able to really compete. We'll never be able to really like, you know, have like international players come in here, young players come in here in that way. I just think that we should just be doing what the rest of the world is doing here, and I think that would match up. That would be the change, and then I'll go to the ones you love.
I mean, we're also obviously very excited to with the new stadium at Etihad Park, and to see New York City FC playing in there. But how much are you already laying the foundation to try to get Barcelona to come to and play a game there?
Oh, it's in the works, my friend. I mean, I've been trying to get that to happen for a long time.
Let's say you get a phone call, okay?
Yeah.
Barcelona could come play one match.
Yeah.
Or Bad Bunny does 10 nights in a row.
Oh, that's easy. Barcelona, one match. What are you talking about?
I gotta be honest with
What
you.
are you talking about?
Add it to the list of VAR.
Well, what are you talking about?
I like Barcelona.
Sorry.
Bad Bunny perform at halftime?
Yeah, that's what we'll do. I get him to perform at halftime.
Look at us.
Yeah,
We've come together.
I'm like, you're asking the wrong guy that question, man.
Oh.
You could be like, shoot, I'd miss my own wedding to see like that. Are you kidding me? Look, I think that it's just great. I think the fact that soccer is taking a real like role now here in the United States. We saw how people were reacting after the World Cup, Copa America.
Yeah.
We got the Club World Cups coming, and then we have the World Cup coming here. That excitement, and then add that we will be doing the inaugural game right after that in Etihad Park at Willis Point. Is just going to be so great for this city. I think it's just for a lot of the young generation too that's going to be able to really enjoy and see that. Because I remember, the last World Cup here, going to the Meadowlands. We even went to Boston to see a game over there. It was Argentina, Cameroon. It was to me, those are memories that you never forget. And
Italy, Ireland in the Meadowlands. It's the first professional soccer game I ever saw.
Yeah.
That's why I got hooked.
I still have the tickets though.
Oh,
that
really?
Game. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, my childhood memories. I had a great childhood, great parents. That the family gatherings were always in the park with the soccer ball. We were like, playing when my friends were playing baseball or basketball. Sure. I'm kicking the ball around because that was just like our culture.
That's a community.
My first game was actually Real Madrid against Roma in I believe it was like year 2000, 2001.
Oh, really?
And it was like Galacticos, Real Madrid, and that was the first game. But I didn't like.
But don't tell me you're a Madrid fan, because I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna be like, you don't have the right to use the whole portion of this interview, man. I'm like, I was duped into coming here.
He's like, can we get this removed? That was never here.
The Supercopa must have felt pretty nice.
Let me tell you something. I called my chief of staff and I said, I'm coming in late tomorrow to work. I'm like, we did a little bit too much celebrating because I have a tradition, right? Like, I'm very superstitious. So I have my flute glasses of FC Barcelona on them.
Yeah.
We have to do like a Spanish cava toast before the game, and every time they score a goal, I have to have the right, sneakers, socks, everything, you name it. And I'm Catholic, so every Lent season, right? I would give up alcohol. So I was watching the game once, and like I put, I don't know, seltzer or whatever, and they tied. Next week, they lose. I go to the rectory. I'm like, Father, I need to ask you. I need to ask you for something.
Negotiate with God.
I said, Father, look. I know it's not right to be superstitious. I'm a good Catholic boy. Yeah. I'm like, but we're competing for the league. Right. I gave this up. All I'm asking for is a dispensation. One cup in the beginning of the game. And he starts laughing and goes, come here, Francisco. I go, hey, you're dispensed. Yeah. And we won the league that year. So there you go. Like, you got to keep it going.
Sometimes you just got to present the situation.
Absolutely.
God is a Barcelona fan.
He is. Everybody knows that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Ooh, actually, I could hear Mbappe offside right now. They love you. They love you up there.
No, man. It's exciting. The one thing that is cool, and we've been talking about it a little bit on the show with Barcelona, is like players like Lamine Yamal and Alejandro Balde. But Alejandro
Dominican. Yeah, Dominicano.
This is something
he knows what sancocho is.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. This is something I think we're not publicizing enough and talking about enough, that the Dominican influence that exists. Because it's also, they had Junior Firpo a couple years ago, another Dominican. Right. But then Lamine Yamal, I would argue, honorary Dominican. You saw him walking in after the
absolutely.
Super Copa.
Come on.
With playing ¿Y qué fue?
Yeah. He's setting the tone for like music, everything. Like it's amazing to watch him play, right? And how calm he is. You see him through the Euros, right?
The
how
confidence.
Yeah, it's just, and now he's like, he's look how built he is now, right? This kid is just going to be, if he stays healthy, if they, really maintain him the right way, not to kind of like get him into this phase where everybody's comparing him to like the next Leo Messi and all of that, because you have to protect that when they're that young. He is going to be so amazing. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. But you watch him, you watch Cubarsí, you watch Casado. I mean, I'm like, this is the difference between Barcelona and every other team that's out there. There's no other club that has La Masia.
None.
That can produce every generation these, phenomenal football players that you're just in awe of them, right? And when you look at what Xavi did, he brought these kids up because he had nowhere to go, right? They were a cash strapped. He brings these kids up, and boom, right? Now Hansi Flick is doing an amazing job with them. But he's doing the same thing with Rafinha.
What he did with Rafinha is still shocking. I had no idea this guy was that good.
Oh, neither did I, because he was like a wild Mustang, right? Like he would just go out and run, and then like there was like no rhyme or reason. Now, like you see him, he's controlling the game. He's on pace. He comes back and defends. This is going to be his year. Where I think he's really going to break out into like a superstar. And if he can do that consistently, I mean, we just got ourselves like
could you imagine
a
kid from Queens goes to one of your, academy things, like the teachings that you're talking about, ends up on New York City FC, gets sold to Barcelona. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Oh God. Listen, I better be the manager of that kid. I better sign these kids up really quick before they.
We got to do this. We got to start an agency.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always said this on the show. What's the population of Queens? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's 2.8 million.
Uruguay is 3.5 million. Look at how many global superstars they've made in that tiny country. Why can't we do that in New York City?
Because I'm telling you, it's the cost of putting kids in academies or in after-school programs that don't exist in communities of color, right? It's been the biggest thing. I was fortunate enough that my parents could put me in a soccer league or some after-school program. Back then they were free. Now they're not. You want to buy a kid a uniform, talking about $300. Right, you want to put them in any academy that they have out here? They're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and they're not even really big academies. So that was one of the things that I said. I wanted to go back to making sure that kids are going to have access to free soccer clinics, free academies. Let's give them the tools that they need to enjoy the game and really help them develop. Right, because you're right. 2.8 million people. You don't think we're going to find the next, Lamine Yamal coming out of Corona, Queens? There's a school. I fund a lot of these schools with their soccer program. Principal invites me to go see them play. It's a tournament in the school district, District 30. Shout out to PS 92 and the Owls who won the championship. I saw them, and I swear to God, they were like the Bad News Bears, right? They're all like different sizes. They don't have socks, right? They don't have shin guards. Some do, some don't. They're not tying their shoelaces. They just look like they have no athletic ability whatsoever. And all the schools from the district, they're it was like competing against 70 schools. And I'm like, oh man, and they're tiny, right? And the other kids, and man, they go through the first round. They beat everybody. I'm like, oh my God, they make it to the finals. I'm like, you got to invite me. I'm like, cancel all my meetings. I don't care. I'm going to miss votes for this thing. Bro, they won.
Wow. That's crazy.
They won. And I made sure that they got to do the smokestacks at the NYCFC game. When Man City came, I arranged for them to meet with Pep Guardiola.
Oh, wow.
They got to see them practice. They met Haaland. They met Grealish. All this. These are kids that will never have the opportunity. Like, they never dreamed that this was going to happen, right? And I'm like, there was this one kid, his name was Neymar, and I thought it was his nickname, right? And I go, no, what's your real name? He goes, no, that's my real name. And his father's a big Neymar fan. He named him Neymar.
Yeah, that's
right?
hilarious.
And then there was this kid called Jairo. And he's a little, kid that was tall, little lanky, whatever. And I would say, dude, you're not going to get this reference. I go, but you're Maradona in his late stages.
Yeah.
Because this kid couldn't run, but he could control the ball and make these passes that was like, oh my God, I wish I had yours. And you're only in the 5th grade?
Yeah, all right,
I'm like, what
when
is
you
this?
said late stage, I'm like, how late?
Late stages. Because you know Barcelona could...
sniffles?
Well, no, not that
How
stage.
late are these
Not
So he's
that
like
late.
Busquets-ish.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes,
He's
yes.
picking the point, but he's not running.
Oh my God. And these kids, and now we got them uniforms. I got them, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like we
so
funded
cool.
it. And I think that's kind of like the best thing that comes out of this whole thing is kids now are going to have that opportunity. Like they don't have to worry about having to pay to play
wonderful.
soccer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
the
that's the
Yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
I'm thinking about this more. My son is almost 2 years old,
Yeah.
and even just starting to think about like future options, and
Yeah.
you know, even I mean, right now it's like, why is daycare unaffordable?
Right, yeah, no, it's true.
But
It's
then
true.
it's like when, but you know, soccer and you know, he's dribbling a little bit. Got left foot. He's left footed.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear these things because as a parent, but then just as a member of the community, it's something where again we're looking for those moments of like how do we stay positive? How do we impact our own community?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people think. You know, that it all happens virtually or we're all on Instagram, but there's really a lot of stuff like on the ground. And so even just you going to games and meeting people and talking to these kids, it just shows how significant and important all that stuff is.
No, I love that. That's the great part of the job, right?
Yeah.
You know, you get to do that and you get to see these kids smile and, you know, give them an opportunity that, you know, they probably would not have had we not been able to do this, this project.
Beautiful
So,
thing.
yeah.
You've done wonderful work.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I
Councilman
appreciate
Moya,
this.
this has been an absolute honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, the
for
honor's
taking
mine, guys.
time
Thank you.
Out of your
Let
day.
us know how many votes you lose by having been on this podcast. Those two idiots.
Is there anything you want to let people know? Maybe anything that you are currently focused on or working on that you want to let people know? A website, anything? Go to your
Something
Instagram.
big coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, you know, what I want people to know out there is that, look, we're going to have a big forum that we're going to be doing, like you talked about, you know, to know your rights for immigrant families. We're going to do a lot of those things. But the main thing right now is that if you have any questions, any concerns, and look, this is what I do for a living. So it doesn't matter if there's a pothole in front of your house, you know, on the street, or you just got concerns about housing. Feel free to call my office 718-651-1917, and then on social media it's Francisco Moya NY on Instagram and on X as well.
Amazing.
If you give people $5 for every pothole they point out, there will be no more potholes.
So true, man.
I promise
so true.
My
Man.
aunt alone will be driving around these streets
Oh
pointing them
God,
out.
tell me about it. Listen, guys, you're doing amazing work here.
Thank
you really have done such. I love your podcast. I love the show. You guys are really, you know, elevating this in such a different level. And to see two Latino guys, you know, making it here, it makes me proud too as well. I brought you guys something that I wanted to give to you because it is really significant because you guys hit a milestone.
Right.
Yes.
10 years.
This isn't jury duty, is it?
No, it's not jury duty. It's not jury duty. But I wanted to present you with a citation from the city of New York that really honors you guys for the great work that you've done. 10 years.
This is ridiculous. This is so dope.
We have another surprise for you because we just couldn't bring it in time, but we wanted to make proclamations for each of you individually, and we will present them to you, and you'll come where I work at City Hall, so we can do that.
Oh
Is
my
that a deal?
God. This
Yeah,
is
100%.
Okay, good.
Councilman
So
Moya.
this is for you guys.
This is incredible.
This is
Thank you so much.
out of this world.
Yeah.
Honored to recognize their incredible work in comedy and soccer over the last 10 years. Isn't that
Me vas a
crazy?
llorar.
Oh my God. Wait,
Well, I hope you guys keep doing this another 10 more years. You guys are doing amazing work.
This is going up
and
on the wall right there.
Absolutely.
This is so cool.
This is going nowhere.
Incredible. I want to do this just before, after this very sweet and emotional thing. We got this game a couple months ago. It's called Yo Sabo, which is it's like the joke about like Latinos born in the U.S. that don't have a strong mastery of the language. And obviously, I spoke Spanish at home.
So
But
it's
this
my first language, but you lose a little
but
bit.
you lose a little bit, and sometimes you forget
Yeah.
certain things. So this is the Yo Sabo game is basically a test of your Spanish. So we've done this.
Man.
We've done this once before,
Yeah.
and we've gotten it wrong.
It's a
couple
disaster.
times.
Yeah,
We've gotten some right, some wrong.
Some wrong.
All
Some
right.
wrong. So
Some words where also I feel like New York Spanish is different. Like
It's totally
printing
different.
is printéame eso.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
barely imprimir,
Absolutely.
but
It's like a mixture of English. Like we
Yeah.
make it up, and I'm like,
Spanglish, baby.
So we're each gonna take one card, right? All right. So this is so let's just mix these up, and just Alexis take that one.
Oh, okay, I grab the first one.
Whatever. I'll take this one. You take this one. Don't look at it
that
yet.
one, okay.
And then we'll all sort of
We'll ask each other.
We'll ask each other.
Okay.
We'll test
Okay.
the other two.
Yeah.
So I'll go first.
Yeah.
Who are you asking? You asking both of
Both
us?
of both
Okay.
of you. Oh, this is I don't know. I've never really heard it. ¿Cómo se dice purr? Like a cat purring. How do you say that in Spanish? What? Which
It's not meow.
I didn't know this. I assume
We can't even put the enya on it because it's like,
Yeah.
like I have no idea.
I didn't know either.
Her.
Purriendo.
Purriendo.
The word is roneo.
Roneo. Like
Roneo.
roncar,
Roneo.
like, you
Like
know.
roncando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roneo. Which sounds like my uncle or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, my uncle Roneo. You know?
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah.
Ronnie?
So, okay, that was my. All right, go for it.
Oh, this one I've never heard of either.
Huh.
Do you guys know the Spanish word? Como se dice raccoon?
Oh, Jesus. I know this because we have a raccoon problem in the district.
Really?
And I can't remember for the life of me right now.
I'll give you a hint. It almost sounds a little bit like the end of the word, or most of the word sounds like a Native American tribe.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Then I'm way off.
Also, an army helicopter known for shooting a lot of bullets. It's also the nickname of Carlos Tevez.
Oh. Why? Oh my God! What the hell? Apache.
Apache.
Mapache.
Mapache.
I had no clue.
Oh, no,
bro.
no. Sorry. I've been saying raccoon to all the Spanish
Yeah.
people in my
Which
district
is-
the wrong
You
way.
know the Spanish word for raccoon? Raccoon.
Raccoon.
What are we talking about?
raccoon.
Yeah.
But this, language
Whoa.
evolves.
Yeah,
And
this
that-
is like, no.
Mapache.
Mapache. I don't know, man. Maybe that was Quechua.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Oh, you guys are going to get this. Come on. This is like, of course, the easiest one. ¿Cómo se dice pregnant?
Oh,
Embarazada.
embarazada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
That's an easy.
Yeah.
Or en luz.
En
If
luz.
you-
En luz.
if you're
En luz.
Cuban.
Yes. En luz. En
Ella
luz.
está en luz.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, tell her to get out of the sunlight.
All
Yes.
right.
Oh, she's pregnant.
Councilman Moya, again,
been an
this has
honor.
been an absolute honor. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for this. This is just really one of the coolest things that we've ever received.
Yeah.
Super cool. Best of luck going forward, and
Thank
we
you.
cannot wait. And we will be there right beside you when
Thank you.
the stadium opens. And thank you so much for all your hard work. And
Let us cut a ribbon. It doesn't have to be the main one. I just want to cut a ribbon somewhere.
maybe into the bathroom.
Yeah, for one of the stalls. Yeah, for one of the stalls. Yeah,
Whichever
yeah.
one has the softest toilet
Yeah,
paper.
yeah, there you go. There you go.
I
That's
have a
it.
feeling that's the one I'll
Right.
be using.
Yeah, we'll have a Cooligans, like, you know, like some kind of sign there
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that stall.
Well, we'll get a little camera on the door that plays our podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Entertain
Right. You know, now you're talking. I think I can talk to somebody on the team about that.
I got ideas.
Yeah, I got ideas. Maybe we can get you a urinal. I'm not
Hey,
sure
hey,
about a stall,
we'll do the
but maybe
short form content.
yeah. There you go.
Then our faces are right there. Anyway, Councilman Moya, this has been absolute dream. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. I came here. Now you guys got to come
Done.
to my
Happy-
work,
happy
and
to be
we
there.
got to celebrate you
We'll
guys
go to
in the
that
right
restaurant
way.
that's 2
Let's
blocks
do it.
away.
Let's do it.
Nobody will
Let's
find
do
out
it.
the name.
Right.
Hey, official citation.
Hey, look
Uh-huh.
at that. Usually a citation could be a bad thing.
I thought we were getting tickets. Like, you've been too loud. We got noise
No,
complaints.
we got a positive citation
That's a
for
beautiful
all
thing.
our contributions into
Bro,
this.
we're getting
into
invited to
comedy.
City Hall.
It's just unbelievable.
When you said yes to Cooligans, did you think we'd have an official New York City citation and be getting invited to City Hall?
Obviously not. I mean, I thought you would get a subpoena more than anything.
100%. I was like, you're gonna have to find a way to say you don't remember this in court.
I have your wife as an emergency contact for getting you out of prison. That's how
Well,
I
not
try-
anymore. We're on City Hall
So
time.
we're
baby.
I'm trying to help. No, so cool. Thank you, Councilman Moya, for coming by,
What an honor.
and thank you for the citation and everything. It's just such a cool thing for us, and we're gonna hang it up on the wall. It's just a dream, and yeah, it was a great guy. So thank you for coming by.
The most proud thing I'll ever hang on a wall.
So everybody, thank you again for hanging out, coming through. Follow us everywhere. Follow us on Blue Sky. Follow us on Blue Sky because it's getting more and more difficult to continue supporting that other platform.
Yeah, it sucks. But also you can follow us on YouTube, subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe button.
So at Soccer Cooligans, soccercooligans.com on Blue Sky. Follow us, subscribe, join the community. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/soccercooligans. A lot of dope people on there as well.
Yeah, we're starting to know some really important people.
Yeah,
okay?
you know,
you might want to get to know us.
Politics, clearly we're on the rise.
You're gonna need a favor one day. We're the kind of people you might want to know.
Exactly. Get on there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Again, shout out to Councilman Moya and his staff for coming by. And we will see you on Thursday with a brand new episode. So, everybody, we'll see you then. Peace.